Taji Shri Venkatramanan. Now I am reading 120 words. Some outlines are written above the speed. So please practice that outline so many times. Yes. Gentlemen, I regard this opportunity given to me of inaugurating the seminar as one of the most fortunate accidents that could have befallen me. My honorable colleague requested me day before yesterday to undertake this responsibility as the Honorable Prime Minister, to whom the request had been first addressed, could not find room for this engagement in his very busy program. I mention this as proof, if needed, of the consciousness of the importance of the occasion on the part of the myself as well as my honorable colleague. I approach my task with humility, not because of my unfamiliarity with the problems you will be discussing, that because of the vastness and complexity of the problems of optimum land utilization in India, a term which incidentally, personally, I would prefer to call land transformation. My own credentials, based on the extent of my interest, are, I claim, such much stronger than you would imagine. A finance minister who is in addition a member of the Planning Commission has an obvious interest, at the same time critical and constructive, in agricultural problems and programs. Former governor of the Reserve Bank, which has since its inception been discharged with staying and developing agriculture credit, is equally manifestly someone who can claim appropriately to inaugurate the deliberations of agricultural experts. Over and above this, there has been much in my previous official career that throw us into very close contact with agriculturists and their manifold problems. Both as a district and settlement officer, I have personally inspected over 3,000 villages, and as revenue secretary and later over these 1,000 villages as revenue secretary and later joint secretary in the all Department of Education, Health and Lands, the Government of India. I had occasion to keep in close touch with Mother Earth. My interest in agricultural matters in deep and abiding, although I cannot claim that in later years I have been able to study its problems with energy commensurate with my zeal. Having strayed along in too many busy woods and pastures, now I have only browsed in the fields of agriculture. I have already regarded our country's agriculture as among the most tantalizing forms of Indian culture. The old Sanskrit word for irrigated is land of which providence is not the mother. By implication, an unirrigated land is one which must depend for its fruition entirely on providence. The central feat about Indian culture is that over 80% of the cultivated land is dependent on providence, which may or may not be kind. The provision of water to correct the absence of vagaries of the monsoons, the prime necessity for Indian agriculture. This subject, however, forms a background to our deliberations, as I presume you will discuss the competitive merits of the intensive patterns of developments as distinguished from the extensive. This reflection leads me to the questions of what would be the general background by your discussions. In my opinion, it should be the general plan for the economic development of the country as outlined in the draft outline of the first 5-year plan prepared by the Planning Commission, particularly chapters 1 to 5 of Part 3. Even within the limits of land transformation, there are scores of important fundamental issues which for practical reasons could not be included within the scope of your deliberations. The transformation of man, for instance, must proceed purposefully with the transformation of land. It is impossible to exaggerate the importance of the human element in economic development. In particular, there are problems of better health and fair level of education. For the farmer, the solution of which will have to vital bearing on success or otherwise of your work, but which you are not going to be able to discuss this matter. We are living through one of the great revolutionary periods in human history. The revolutionary efforts spread over several countries in centuries in other parts of the world are concentrated in a short span of time in our country. We are facing a many-sided challenge, political and economic, social and cultural. Education is the means by which the youth is trained to serve the cause of drastic social and economic changes. Nations come back numbers if they do not reckon with the developments of the age. The industrial growth of our country requires a large number of scientists, technicians, and engineers. The rush in our universities for courses in science and technology is natural. Men trained in these practical courses help to increase productivity, agricultural, and industrial. They also have to find employment easily. To help the students to earn a living is one of the functions of education. I do not believe that scientific and technological studies are devoid of moral values. Science is both knowledge and power. It has interest as well as utility.